Hi, Niall. How are you today? Welcome to Going Vinyl.
I'm very well, thank you. Looking forward to the chat.
Absolutely. All right. So I'll begin with the very first one. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience who you are, what you've been up to lately?
So I'm Niall Wilson, and I'm currently going into my third year of uni in Sheffield in a place called Waterbear, and I sort of do bits and bobs here and there within drumming. I sort of support artists, sort of play for them, and I do a bit of teaching, um, and just sort of drumming stuff here and there. But yeah, it's all been really exciting. So I'm looking forward to what's to come.
Oh, that's brilliant. You said you're studying at Waterbury College of Music. Um,
Yes,
yeah, I'm familiar with the team there, some of the team there. What it's like studying music at the school.
it's good. I mean, the everyone within the uni are integrated, um, and there are many staff members that I mean, I actually got a really cool gig through a staff member that recommended me to another band, and I ended up playing to like 1,500 people, which is crazy. I'd never done that before.
Brilliant.
Um, so that was really cool. And yeah, so they all know what they're doing. It's just cool to like just to be taught by musicians and people that know way more than you do. Because that's how you get better. That's the whole sort of nature of it. But yeah.
That's brilliant actually. And I know how capable the team is and how much of an outreach that the Waterbury College of Music has across the UK. So that's a brilliant place to be, I'd say. So moving on, I would rather dial back to the time when it all started. When was the first time that you realized or recognized that you have a love and passion for music?
There wasn't really any set time. I mean, for most people, there was for me there was always music around, and in the car. I think some of my earliest memories have to be of waiting for school when I was about what 6 or 7,
Mhm.
and my dad would have a playlist that he'd play in the car right before I'd go to school, and it'd be stuff like Ghost Town and Hocus Pocus by Focus and ELO, like Mr. Blue Sky. But they're some of my sort of earliest memories, and well, in fact, we'll probably go into it, but like me like being like I my mum, right, so she signed me up for lessons and I didn't know about it.
Right.
So
What
I
lessons?
uh, for drumming lessons.
Oh, drumming.
um
Oh, wow.
so it was all I wasn't really sure about it at first. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this, and then I ended up really enjoying it. So it sort of put me in good stead. I'm really grateful that she introduced me to the drum kit because my brother started first, and then I followed along after she um, put lessons in for me. But yeah,
So is it that your whole family is has been into music, or was it professionally, or was it just out of hobby and interest?
so my uh, like my mum very much likes music. She's not a musician per se, um, and my dad is like sort of more semi-professional. He has a different job. He plays music for fun. He's a bass player. Um, and
Mhm.
my sister is in choir. So not too far from where I live, there's a massive church, and she performs there. And with a huge choir, which I've seen a good few times, with an orchestra even, and it's just really cool stuff. And there's just so many different like lines of music, um, and it's just interesting sort of diving into how each style is like constructed, because there's always a baseline, there's always like a foundation in which music is built on, but it's just how how they build on the music that sort of the foundation that exists, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But it's good that you've been exposed to various kind of music or musical art. Like choir is very different from, say, a bass um player.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
So you've had all these different kinds of music exposure and genre, if we can even say that. So that I am sure that that must have shaped up your interests furthermore into music. But how did drumming actually came about to you? I know that your mom, you said that your mom enrolled you into the drumming lessons, but was it like dropped on you like that, or was it like you slowly developed? Oh yeah, this is cool.
So yeah, so my brother started first, and then my mum signed me up to lessons without telling me, and I wasn't like I said, I wasn't sure about it at first. I was like, I don't want to do this. And then the first lesson, I ended up really loving it, and that was it. That was just the first lesson, and I just wanted to learn more and more and more. So it wasn't like a slow build up. It was just there, you know. I just like really enjoyed it from the start.
No, that's brilliant. But so I'd love to deep dive into what drumming is like and how is it different? I know every musical instrument is different, but what I mean to say is, what would someone who's listening, what if they were to try and become a drummer? What are the things that they should know about before getting started?
Or getting started. I mean, I suppose I'm more generalizing, but like I suppose with any instrument, it's I've taught a good few students, and they just want to get from here to here really quickly, and it's like it's a process. Like, but I think it's exciting the fact that they want to get like so good in a short period of time. But it's like it's a really slow process, and just like working at things, and it's tedious. It can be tedious just working at the same thing over and over and over again. Um, so I think that's one thing. Um, I think another thing is, well, I suppose it plays into it. Just be patient and enjoy enjoy the journey as you go along. Because I mean, I found that I'm quite critical when I play. Like I think I more so when I was sort of younger. Which wasn't really that long ago. I've only been
Yeah,
playing for about
exactly. I was going to say that.
I'm still young, but like I think on the at the start of my journey, I was more critical. I've only been playing for about 8 years, but you just sort of learn to like as long as you practice, as long as you put the effort in,
Yeah,
there's no reason to sort of feel bad if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
because you know that you've put the effort into and things don't always go right. You know, things go wrong, and if you know you've practiced enough, you go, oh well, that's how it is. But I think if you haven't practiced and things do go all over the place, I think you have to you have to sort of go, yeah, this was my fault. I just I need to put more effort in. Um, but yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a long-winded answer.
no, 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 absolutely. No, it's absolutely okay. But I do understand that you need a lot of resilience and you need a lot of dedication. Because when we start at anything, to be fair, we're
Absolutely,
really bad at it. And then it's the process, like you said, you need to enjoy it,
absolutely.
that you stick by it. And
Mm,
then the end result is where you become a master of it. So
yeah.
speaking of that, because when you first mentioned drumming, the first thing that came to my mind was the movie Whiplash. Have you
The
watched
what?
the movie The
The what?
Whiplash?
The Clash.
The Whiplash, the movie.
I'm not sure if I've heard of it. Oh, Whiplash. Oh,
Yeah,
Whiplash. Yeah, yeah,
Whiplash.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Oh,
course.
sorry about that. Yeah, yeah. Whiplash. Have you watched the movie?
The audio's dropped out.
Oh,
I can't hear you.
all right.
Not sure what's going on. Oh, I've taken you again.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was saying, like, have you watched the movie?
I have watched the movie, and
What are your thoughts on it?
it's too. So I watched an Adam Neely video on on Whiplash, breaking him like nitpicking because he's like a Berkeley guy, and him nitpicking every tiny aspect, and then like his conclusion was that it was a sports film. It's not like
Right.
it's because like because there's videos of him, or there's clips of this. I think I can't remember the name of the main character, but his hands are like bleeding as he's playing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's like he's not stopping. But like in actual fact, that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be playing to like to a point where you're bleeding. That's just not. It's not practical. Because you'll cause many problems on the horizon. If you're like you know I think it's not it's 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 not accurate to how what playing drums is, but I have to admit it's a very entertaining film. It's very like brutal and quite thrilling.
I hope your music teacher didn't give you, such a tough time.
No, no, yeah, no, he didn't throw any chairs at me, thankfully. So, uh, um, but yeah, I think that's like a completely different world. I mean, because I didn't go to a conservatoire. I'm sort of more in the pop sort of more in a pop uni. But I've heard band leaders and teachers within that cut from the old cloth be really brutal, and in a sense like it makes sense. You have to push your students in order for them to get better. But I think that there is a line.
There's a
There is
line.
a line
There
to
should be
yeah,
a line in the sand. Absolutely.
absolutely yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. But speaking of music and bands, how did your band come about? Where did you guys meet and what's the story behind Wicked Are the Branches?
Right. So I think towards was it? I think it was last year in April. So was it April? I think it was April. So the original drummer dropped out, and there were lots of gigs. So I learnt the material in about a week um, before the first gig, and that was quite daunting. Um, but I know them through. Well, I knew Ben first because we went to a lot of jams. I got to know him through house band because he was in the songwriters sort of he's in the songwriter course, and house band would be where we build the songwriters music up. So the performers would help um, build on what the songwriters had, and each songwriter would go up onto stage, and we'd try and make something more out of their music. So they're all fantastic songwriters, but I think but that's how I first knew Ben, and then we'd sort of go to jams, and we'd sort of play. He's a fantastic guitarist and just fantastic musician. And then James, um, I think he was. I sort of passed him. Didn't really. I didn't really. I talked to him a few times. Um, didn't know him as well. And so yeah, the drummer dropped out, and then Ben recommended me, and was sort of like, yeah, maybe you should get this guy on it. And so I had a message. It's like, oh, you need to learn these. Can you learn these songs in a week? I was like, sure, yeah. That like it was exciting. So I wasn't in a band at that point, and I was really, really thrilled to have that opportunity. And yeah, that was basically that's it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, uh, I want to be a little bit more nosy about it. How did this name came about? Because it's a really unique name. Wicked Are the Branches. Is there a
Good,
story
yeah.
behind that name?
It's a Tom Waits lyric, I think.
Okay.
To be fair, I don't know much myself, but I think it's a lyric from a Tom Waits song, and
Yeah.
but I can't remember which song. You'll have to ask James, the lead singer. He'd know which song it was from. But yeah, it came from a Tom Waits song.
That's brilliant. Just to um deep dive into while you were growing up or even now, have there been any strong influences or inspirations that you've had, um and who are those? It could be musicians, it could be someone in the family, who have been your strongest influences in music?
Oh, good question. So I think in the earlier years, especially, um, I'd sort of see my dad's band play a few times, and it was really cool just to see them all play. They're a sort of a good band, play lots of sort of like fairly eclectic mix, and
Right.
just I think that was a big one for me. And other influences would be my teacher within Derby, called his name's Ben Glover, and he's just like a fantastic drummer in this really cool funk band called Ublek, and in another band called Halter D. But yeah, just I remember uh, just watching him play in the band and in Ublek, and just thinking that's where I want to be. You know, what I want to get to. It's just like such a force behind the drum kit, and it's just like so enthralling and exciting watching him play this like complicated music. Um, and then what else? I think another. So I had some teachers in had a teacher in lockdown online, and so everyone was like cooped up in their houses, and thankfully we had this sort of awesome space set up for me to practice in, and for my dad to do his stuff and my mum to do her stuff, um, and so I had lessons with this drummer called Michael Miley, and he's
To Bob Marley
from,
in any way?
say again, sorry.
Is he related to Bob Marley in any way?
No, Michael Miley.
Right. Oh,
Miley.
Marley. Oh, not Marley.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was he's in a band called the Rival Sons, and so I dropped him a message, and I was like, "Oh, can I have some lessons?" Uh, and so he accepted them, and he probably he especially at the start, you know, he sort of influenced my playing quite a bit, and that was really exciting. Like having lessons from a drummer that you've just watched, you listen to, you know, on a daily basis, or you know, you sort of watch them play through videos, um, and so that was a very sort of big influence and to me, and yeah, they're the ones I can think of. There are plenty more.
I'm sure they are. So you talked about your teacher, and you've seen him perform, your teacher from Derby. So just want to understand, if and you may not have thought about this yet,
Right,
but because
right.
you're still young. But what's that one dream, or as I like to call it, a London dream that you've had with respect to where you want to go with music?
Where I want to go with music. I mean, if I'm honest, I'm not really. It's a boring answer, but I'm not really that picky in the sense that like I just want to be able to play and be able to make a living off of playing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would rather I like to perform more than I want to teach, if that makes sense. Like I love to teach, and I've lots of like a few like amazing students, but I think I just love being on that stage in front of, you know, in front of like how many people there are. Just playing is just like exciting. Um, so I think being able to perform in front of like say thousands of people would be really cool. I mean, it's not like a original thing by any means, but like I that's something I'd really like to do, and just be able to play and like record, um, and make a living off of that. So yeah.
Um, So I'll just ask you this, and I'm sure that you must have had this exposure at the Water Bear, as well. Has there been any performance or any of your gigs, however big or small, that's been etched in your memory as for it could be something going very right or something going very wrong, uh,
Right. Okay.
just like our chats earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I could do both. I could do one that I remember going very right and one
Okay.
that could go that went didn't go particularly well. But I remember playing in a venue called what was it called? It's closed now. So there was a place called Practice Sheffield, and that was a it's got another. I think it was called Make Noise as well. But they had a practice space and they also had like a venue. But the venue was Make Noise, I think. And I remember just it just going. I remember it's like having to stop the songs and stuff, and it was all over the place. It was like, but I remember feeling really like not good after that gig, not good after that gig at all. And I just thought to myself, I just want to be able to, just want to be better because I don't want to like slump and sort of just be like, oh, that's it. I sort of just thought to myself that I just want to be able to do way better than I did there. Uh, I just don't want to get, I wasn't. I did feel bad, but I wasn't completely shut down. It sort of almost gave me more motivation, and I'd probably say my most memorable would have to be, hmm, well, I'd probably have to say with the I think I mentioned it before, but I played with a band called Good Damage,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I depped for them. So I think the other drummer left or something, and so I sort of filled in,
Mm,
and and it's fairly recent, but just playing, I just played in front of like we all played in front of like 1,500 people, which is like absolutely crazy,
yeah.
and just it was just really like exciting. I mean, I was just sort of sat there just concentrating, and looking up every now and then, um, because it can be hard not to feel, stared down, when you're on stage, look at playing in front of that many people, um, and so that was really exciting. There was another gig that I played in. Oh, where was it? It was in Liverpool, and we
Yeah.
played. That was probably the best gig when it came to other acts. So I played with Wicked the Branches, and all the other acts that played was phenomenal. That was so good. I think it was probably the best gig in that respect that I played because all the other bands and acts were absolutely amazing. There was a band called Centerfolds, and its Playmate, and they were awesome. And it wasn't like I hadn't didn't play the best in that gig, but the quality of the other bands just lifted up the whole sort of like environment, and it was great. Um, but yeah, yeah.
No, that's good. I have a story about Good Damage, but we'll talk about that offline.
Okay.
Something went very wrong uh,
Oh, really? Love it.
with I think the lead singer of the band, but we'll talk about it offline.
All right.
But you mentioned just a bit earlier about you love teaching music. When was it that you realized that you love teaching music? And the second part to the same question is, how has that experience shaped your perspectives on music?
I think being a teacher to students that have just started, I think it's really it sort of makes you realize that like you hold your teacher. So I on this high pedestal,
Mm,
and I was like, you know, oh, they must be, you know, they must feel great all the time, being this good and that sort of thing. And then you realize, now you're in the teacher's sort of in the teacher's seat, and then you realize that, oh, you're just human. Everyone has bad days. Everyone, uh, we're constantly working
Yeah.
at it, and we're constantly practicing. Constantly getting better. So there is no, um, like there's always something to learn, and that's sort of what I've learned. Um, so I think it's just sort of it's exciting teaching um, new new students that have only just started, and because some take to it really quickly,
Hmm.
and they just sit down and they can just play and it's great, and obviously it's maybe a bit janky because they've only just started, but I think you can kind of tell when someone sort of like has a knack for it and when someone
Yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah.
and I think the whole idea of I'm sort of like conflicted on the whole idea of like talent, for example, because I think some people think you just sort of like just have it, and you can just. But I think it takes a lot, constant practice. I think you need to be like inspired, and if you're not inspired, it'd be hard to improve and get better. Um, I think that's a big part of just being a good musician, being a great musician, which is something I'm constantly sort of like working towards. So yeah,
No, absolutely. I think that that's a gem of an advice. Perseverance is required and hard work is required to kind of hone your skills and be better at it. And like you said, there are also, even after there are good days and bad days, aren't there?
yeah, absolutely.
Right. So we've touched upon the new starters. So I want to get your perspective on something about the music landscape and the industry today with respect to there's so much going on with respect to of course, there are platforms like social media where people can have a massive outreach and get their music heard. But at the
Yeah,
same time, there's AI coming in, and people are kind of using AI to get their music done, as well as have voices that are so electronically produced, if I can say so. And what's your take on that, and how do you think that will impact the industry going forward?
yeah. So I think AI, there's different ways you can look at it. Really, there are positives, but there are also plenty of negatives. Like for example, say someone wants like a jingle for their brand,
Yeah.
and they could either like pay someone to
Mhm.
do it, or they could just plop it into AI and then bam, it's there. You could just like type in a prompt and it's appeared. So I think it's negative for musicians because it can possibly take them out of their jobs,
Yeah.
um, because there people just find a cheaper way, and especially with big corporations, you know, many of them will think, why spend like a few million on an ad when we could spend 1,000. You know what I mean? And I think there is a piece of technology that that exists for corporations, especially. I can't remember the name, but all they need to do is I think they need to pay a fair amount, but it's cheaper than making an ad with you know
Actors. Yeah.
paying actors and and musicians to make the music and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think it's a good like learning source. You can type things in and it just pops up. But I think at the same time, like I think there's a fear that it's possibly making people more stupid, if that makes sense. Like you can just type it in
Yeah,
and then it's there, and so but I think it's a great tool, um, but it's just whether you know people may lose out as it gets better. But yeah, that's sort of what my perspective on it is.
absolutely. And it can be very damaging for a lot of upcoming artists as well, I think so. Um, n- Tell us a bit about your band's gigs, how often do you perform, or is there anything new that you're working towards?
Um, so we've got an album. I believe it's coming out on Halloween, although I'm not particularly sure. It's coming out in October at some point. Um, but we released our first single, "Buried Alive," a few was it? I think it was last month. Um, and oh no, I think it was this month, early this month, and so that was exciting. So we've got another two singles. I think one's coming out next month, and the one the month after. Um, but the name of the album is called Shallow Hollow. So
That's
I'm looking forward. Yeah, it's a
shallow,
cool name. I
Hollow.
think
Yeah.
James came up with that one, um, and so I'm yeah really looking forward to sort of getting it out, for people to hear, and so it should be exciting and hopefully open up, help us gain sort of more opportunities in the future.
Absolutely. And our best wishes for the album whenever it's
Thank you.
coming out, and we'd love to have a conversation after it is out and see how the response has been with respect to even streaming the album and you guys live performing it and headlining some of the events, I hope.
I hope so. Hope so. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Niall. We'll be back in conversation soon, and I want to wish you and your bandmates all the very best with your musical journey.
All right. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the show. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.